Hey there, and welcome to the Big Apple Scroll podcast. My name is Sam.
And my name's Gary.
And today we're asking what's the crack about Moscow versus St. Petersburg. So we're going to look at our experiences with those cities, when and how we visited. We didn't go together, so we'll talk about individual experiences.
Right,
You didn't come with me?
No,
why
I don't
not?
recall.
Did you fall out with me?
I forgot you that time.
So what made us visit these places? Our expectations versus reality. The amount of English speakers that we experienced in those cities compared to Novosibirsk, where we are now, and how we would describe these people in a few words, and what about the places to see there, the tourist places, what was our least favorite things, and overall our impression, and ultimately we're going to say, well, which is best? So, in our opinions,
finally,
of course.
well, no, we're going to say it the way it is.
Definitively.
Definitively.
It will be
official. A lot
official.
of people discuss it,
right,
but we're going to give an official decision.
We could confer a new title, to one of these cities.
This is the day. I can feel it.
Yeah, I'm starting to
Do you
get
have that
butterflies in my belly.
It's exciting. It's a big responsibility, though. Let's be serious about it.
We're ready for it.
Okay.
I think we've prepared for this all our lives.
Yes. Yes. It's all just preparation for this moment.
Just for this moment. Mm-hmm. This 2019 podcast, Moscow versus Petersburg. Here we go.
Absolutely.
Right, and some people call it Peter.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Sophisticated people call it Peter.
Oh, yes. So that's why I don't say that.
Dummies like me, I say St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
The full everything.
And you're American, right?
I am American.
And I'm British. Mm-hmm. And what I say is Moscow.
I say Moscow.
Moscow. And it's related to farm animals.
Yes,
Sorry.
We're simple farm people. That's right.
But it is interesting, and of course the real name is Moskva. Mm-hmm. If you could forgive my pronunciation, which is probably terrible. But in a Northern Irish accent, it would be Moscow. Moscow. Okay. I'm going to Moscow, mate.
Wow.
So there you go. A little bit of my pure accent.
That's beautiful.
Undiluted.
You should do that more often.
When did you visit Moscow?
Well, I have visited Moscow kind of like many times.
So I'm laughing because I say Moscow, you say okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Right. We're all talking about the same place. Yeah.
Ignore me.
That's right. We are talking about the same city, however it sounds. But I visited there many times because of, having visas. I was on visas for many years, as you are now, I think. And that means that you can only be here for so long without either leaving the country or going back to your country of origin.
Right.
And so that meant a lot of trips through Moscow. And
sure.
I also had friends there that I would stay with during some of those visits, and they showed me the city a little bit. And,
right.
So I got to know the ropes, as we say.
When was the last time you were in the capital?
For actually visiting, it's probably been maybe even 2 years. I used to do the thing where I would. My flight to come back to Novosibirsk would be an early arrival in Moscow, and then I would spend the day there, and then take a late plane back to Novosibirsk. So I'd kind of spend the day.
Yeah.
And that I haven't done for a while, but that was a thing that I have done. So I've been there a lot of times.
And overall, can you guess how many days you've spent there overall?
Oh, maybe...
roughly
2.5 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that. 3, maybe.
So I've been. I mean, if you ignore airports, because I've just been through airports, and I never really count airport as a city.
Right.
If you're not really leaving the airport.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
So because you can go without a visa as long as you stay in the airport. So I would argue that's not really visiting. So I've only really been maybe 5-6 days in Moscow in total, but over like 2-3 trips. But the last time was last year, last December. It was very quick. I came and returned in the same day.
That's very quick.
So just on my route, I a couple of times came to Russia as a tourist, and spent a couple of days in Moscow. Moscow wasn't my main goal, but I spent a couple of days there. Of course, I think everybody really wants to see a bit of, sights to see in Moscow. So.
Sure. Uh-huh.
What about St. Petersburg or St. Pete?
Yeah, Peter. Yeah, Peter. I think is you're supposed to say Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
St. Peter. Okay.
Yeah, it's like without the saint. Yeah, you say Peter.
Peter.
I've been to Peter, but I don't do that.
Peter
I'm probably I'm incorrect. Right. So keep doing whatever you're doing. Don't listen to me.
Better just to say St. Petersburg. Maybe.
Yeah, right. I think it's safer. But anyway, I've been there. I don't know, 3 or 4 times, maybe 5. Not too many, not too much time overall.
Okay.
That also was kind of in a visa capacity. Sometimes I would go through to Finland, and you can do that also that way. But not very much time in St. Petersburg. So that affects my opinion or my knowledge of the place.
Okay, so maybe less is more, or maybe more is more. We'll find out. The last time I was in St. Petersburg, the only time, was in 2011.
Okay.
And I actually traveled the whole way to Vladivostok from St. Petersburg.
Oh, wow, you did that thing.
Yeah, I know. And some people will think I'm mad, but that's what I did.
Okay.
It was an adventure, maybe not as exciting as you would expect, but an adventure. Maybe we'll talk about that in the podcast in the future.
Okay, all right.
But however, I spent a few days there in St. Petersburg, got a feel of the city overall as a tourist, definitely not to live there, understand the culture or anything, but as a tourist I got a feel for the city and then moved on. So, but that was quite a while ago.
Right.
So, yeah. So maybe that will affect my decision too.
Well, mine would be even longer ago.
Yeah.
Really, I think you were still in. You were
still in nappies,
still
diapers.
Still in. Yeah, still in. What do we say? Still in knee socks or something? Knee pants. Knee pants or something. Knee high
to your dad, or knee high to a
grasshopper.
A grasshopper. Yeah,
something like that. And anyway, but it's been a while.
It's a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while.
Are you going to tell me exactly? Do you know the roughly?
I think I've been there since then, but one time I remember it was, probably 2001. Yes.
I was out of nappies, I promise. I was higher than a grasshopper.
Right, yes, much higher than several grasshoppers.
I was, I had finished school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm older than...
I know. You look so young, yeah. I don't know how you
Thank
do
you.
it.
Good. Exactly what I wanted you to say.
That's right. just like you told me to say, I said it exactly that way.
I'll give that 500 rubles later.
Okay, yeah.
What made you visit these countries? Well, you kind of talked about Moscow. It's en route. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's en route. And
whether by choice or not.
Also was kind of en route in different ways. But so... I'd say none of the trips were specifically to go there, even though I could easily be happily have done so. Yeah. But I think they were more.
Well, for me, I chose to go there as a tourist, but not to spend too long at either cities, either. But but I did choose specifically, especially for St. Petersburg. I chose to go there and spend some time there. So it was for a little bit of tourism, but not for too long, because it wasn't my main goal. How did your expectations compare with reality? Because if you can think back, like before, my first time in Russia was, of course, for many people, I suppose it's true, tourists, was in Moscow. So it was my first experience of Russia.
Well, my first experience was in Magadan. Magadan.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah,
right. Yes,
yeah.
The great gateway city to the Kolyma prison system.
How did you get to Magadan first? Did you come from Alaska?
I came. Yeah. What I did was, it was a rather strange thing to do, but I drove across the United States, believe it or not, in a rented truck, a big Ryder truck. Rental truck, and it's another long story of why I was doing this, but I drove to Seattle.
Okay. Wow.
And then I flew on Alaska Air to Anchorage, and then on to Magadan.
by plane.
By plane, yeah.
By plane.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't
But
even.
it was a rather strange way of
I
doing
wonder,
it.
can you do that now? Because
They may not even have the flights.
they might not have that. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I mean, most it seems to be through Moscow nowadays. Everything. So,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
I think you may not be able to even do that now.
Yeah. Wow.
At the
Okay.
time, I think it was maybe
Yeah.
once a week or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
It wasn't very often. But
And was it
not-
better to do that? Was it shorter?
Well, it made sense for me. Just I
Yeah.
had some purposes for the long driving trip to
Yeah.
Seattle, and then I was in Seattle, so
Yeah.
obviously
You'd
I'm
gone the
gonna
wrong
fly.
way.
Yeah, right. Just everything is wrong. Yeah, right. Yes.
Oops.
I
went
had
west.
I got out a big piece of paper.
I went west. I
and a
better keep
pencil.
going.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I looked at a map. I got a map and looked at the map and
Seeing
said,
as I'm going west.
yeah,
I'll
right.
just keep
Let's
going.
see here. Let's see. Russia. Where's the...
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
Right. Let's see. I think that's over here to the left.
Catch a tiger by the
Yes,
toe.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So, well, if I can answer this question, expectations, reality.
Yeah. What were your expectations?
Whew.
Obviously, you had
Honestly,
expectations because you made...
Yeah.
You're making more choices here in
Well,
different ways.
even for me, it's quite a while ago. But I guess, I don't know. I think I expected, maybe I expected a little bit more English. I'm not sure.
you're
It's
talking about
tricky.
English, yeah.
If you're European, it's quite tricky because a lot of European countries where people go on holidays, talking about tourist destinations and so on, English is it's just there. It's common, and you can talk to anybody. And maybe it wasn't a huge shock to me, but I think maybe I expect a little bit more English because I'd just been completely naive, not being in such a situation before, I think. But it's very hard to answer that, actually.
So as far as the English speaker part, I was already speaking Russian pretty much, even kind of from the beginning. I didn't actually make it to Moscow until maybe it was still early. It was still very early because I even forget. I think I had to go back. I immediately had a visa problem when I was coming to Novosibirsk.
Yeah.
I was kind of out of order, and I think that's my first visit to Moscow, actually. But I was already speaking Russian, and so I wasn't looking for English speakers specifically.
Yeah.
And I had friends there that were Americans.
And when I traveled alone because
and no
either
Russian or Little Russian.
well, I knew very basic.
Da svidaniya.
Maybe a little bit more.
Where's the restaurant?
I knew some phrases, some words, but I'm not conversational or anything like that. So, and I was alone. I mean, I couldn't get my friends to come with me. And anyway,
I was going to ask you, why were you alone? Well, that's the reason.
Yeah.
There's the reason.
So I guess. It was difficult, I guess, to be being alone.
I would think it would be.
Not,
and then you were going to make that long. Is that when you did the Vladivostok trip?
That was the second time. The first time I went to Yakutia.
Excellent choice. That's the other great gateway to.
It's not a person's immediate choice, I guess, when you think of Russia.
Or even secondary, or tertiary. Right.
Back then, at least, I wanted to do the non-tourist thing, and I wanted to see a little bit more of the real Russia, I think. I think that was my reasoning. But it was the summer. It wasn't cold. I mean, it was, sort of, I think that time it was August, September. So it wasn't super cold.
How were the mosquitoes? Did you have mosquitoes?
No, not a problem with them at that time.
Okay.
Not in Yakutia, anyway.
I mean, it wasn't cold.
Didn't notice.
Was it cool?
It was a little bit chilly. No, it was more than. It was
late August chill.
So basically, September in Yakutia is the same as winter in Northern Ireland. It's like it was a little bit of snow. And it was -1. It's not severe.
Well, that's why you
Nothing
don't
bad.
have the mosquitoes. Well, the good thing is you didn't have the mosquitoes.
And the mosquitoes wouldn't have survived that. But anyway.
Yes. But
we're talking about Yakutia.
Right, yes. Okay.
It's better than St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Right.
More interesting. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, it's... Yeah.
There's a lot more to see in the capital and in a formal capital.
Yeah, I would say.
Did you notice a difference in the number of English speakers? So this is kind of following on with what I've just said. So compared to Novosibirsk, do you think that there is a big difference in the amount of English speakers in Moscow or in St. Petersburg?
I can't say. I would assume there are more. But for one thing, there's going to be more probably native speakers there, meaning Brits and Americans.
Yeah, right. You've got more
Canadians
kind of tourists, people working,
Yeah,
things like that. Yeah.
There's just a lot more foreigners there. But
Honestly, I think it's impossible to answer without, unless you do a survey or something. But I would imagine, I mean, based on my experience, really, is that the last time I was in Moscow, I spoke Russian. I didn't try to speak English.
Right.
I think you speak English when you're in a hotel. You know, well, if you choose to, and if you don't know Russian, you speak English when you're in a hotel. And I think regardless of which city, you'll have someone to speak fairly good English with you.
Right.
You know, here in Novosibirsk or in Moscow and St. Petersburg, I think it matters in that respect. So I think it all depends on what. If you're thinking about service industry or tourism or buying, selling, if you're doing business, you're probably going to get some English. If you're there doing business or in a hotel or something, you're probably going to get as much English as you need.
Right.
So it's a tricky one, actually. Why did I write these questions?
Who wrote these questions?
I think it's worth noting. But what do you think?
About English speakers?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah. I wasn't specifically looking for English speakers. I had my friends there, and that was all the English, that was all the English I really cared to speak. And then the rest of it was just, pretty much a Russian environment as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
But I would assume that there have to be more students. There's
maybe more. I mean,
international.
there's sort of secret speakers sometimes. I think people that might be just a little bit nervous to speak, but they can speak it.
Yeah.
Or so. If you, especially if you automatically speak in Russian, they'll follow that through. I think.
Right.
At least for a lot of people, maybe.
Yeah.
Not everyone. How would you describe the people of Moscow in 3 words? I don't know if I can answer that, actually.
I don't know. Yeah, who wrote these questions? Oh, you wrote these questions. That's
but you're gonna.
I got to answer.
This is for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm deferring.
You create this, and then I have to live with it. Okay.
I'm arguing that I don't know how to answer this. You know people there.
Well, as people of Moscow, I don't think I have enough exposure to people there to even have an impression. I think big cities in general, especially really big cities, which Moscow is, and I don't think St. Petersburg is. St. Petersburg is one scale down.
Yeah.
But they're, a little bit less friendly. They're not going to be what you think of as being open. It's like in New York. People are not.
Right.
Although actually, if you'll address somebody in New York, they're going to be quite outgoing with you. But it wouldn't be classic friendliness.
Right. Yeah. It's like a small town fella like me, doesn't quite relate always to these city folks.
Yeah, I think it's and there's those. Yeah.
And if you have a sort of different culture and language, it can be. Add another spanner in the works, maybe.
Right.
Too.
Yeah.
I couldn't answer it honestly. I was kind of hoping you might, but that's okay.
You saw what I did with that.
Our answer is we don't know. We cannot describe people.
No, that's a shame.
We don't know them well.
Yeah, we don't know them.
We might be able to describe the city like hustle and bustle, and it's all go and it never sleeps, and like they talk about New York as well. But I think it's very tricky to describe the people. And anyway, it's very stereotypical.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for.
Sorry.
We're here all about stereotypes.
That's right. That's right. We're going to stereotype all of these cities.
That's right.
What places did you visit? Right. This should be good.
Okay.
I think you can answer this.
Yes.
So tourist attractions or not?
Yeah.
Maybe
well, I've gone
places?
to the classic places.
Yeah.
Which I don't really tire of particularly. At least seeing them, the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Is always impressive, even though I've seen it I don't know how many times, but still, when you get there, and the history and just the atmosphere of it and the scale of the city in general,
and it's beautiful too.
And it's beautiful, it's very impressive, and it's beautiful. So
I'm very fond of the St. Basil's Cathedral, as architecturally speaking.
Yes, it's amazing.
I've never been inside, but the colors, the shapes, the architecture of it, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's beautiful, and it's okay. It's maybe not completely unique, but it's certainly something. It's a symbol of Russia.
Yeah, it's one of the really iconic,
like Big Ben
iconic,
iconic,
like
Big Ben for the UK and the Statue of Liberty for America. It's a symbol of the nation.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It really is, and you really do feel it there. I mean, you feel like you're there, and along with 50,000 tourists, but you're there. But but so's the Russian.
I've been a couple of times to Red Square, maybe 3 times actually. Not the very last time I was in Moscow. I decided just to see a little bit more of the city and not do that. But I just went to like a shopping center and saw a little bit of a street where I was on. Kept things simple for myself because I had to get a flight. But yeah, I've been to Red Square. I've been inside the Armory, which was it's quite good. There's a lot of stuff to see there. I'm not a huge history buff.
Did you do the tour of the Kremlin?
I did tour. Well, not as a group. I just walked around myself.
Okay.
But it was very impressive. And you see the big cannon and the bell and everything, and the different churches, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, it is.
And I've been at Moscow River. The park, you can walk along that, and it's quite nice in good weather. But it's been the summer when I was there as a tourist. Apart from the last time, it was in the summer, so it was good weather for that. I think that's the main things, really. I didn't explore an awful lot. I was at the market. Is it Arbat? It's called
Arbat. Yes.
I was at that, and well, I was impressed, but I had nothing in mind to buy, so I didn't buy anything.
Right.
At that time, I could get souvenirs, genuine Russian souvenirs in Belfast. In November and December, there was, and maybe still is, an international market in Belfast, and I bought all the souvenirs I wanted from a Russian woman who came and brought stuff, genuine. She came from Moscow, I think, actually. So I didn't need the souvenirs from Arbat, kind of like.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see it. It was interesting.
Well, I bought some stuff at the Arbat in I don't know what year it would have been, maybe 2000 or something. It was. You could buy really great stuff. Maybe you still can. I'm sure you still can there, but it was quite inexpensive at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's inexpensive now, but it was then.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy that, so I got some things that I really like as gifts. I was able to give them, so that was great. But
cool. And what about St. Petersburg?
Yeah, St. Petersburg. I really haven't been there too much. I went through St. Isaac's and St. Peter. I walked around. I did the things like you do. I came in on the train. I took the overnight train from Moscow, and I started early, but I was extremely tired, and because of the just. Anyway,
so you didn't get the full experience.
I didn't get the full experience, unfortunately. Yeah.
So I was at, I'm not sure if it was St. Isaac's or where it was, but I was at a big cathedral, regardless anyway, and up on the right. It probably was St. Isaac. And I saw a lot of bridges, which for me is exciting, or interesting at least, coming from a engineering background. Okay. And I also walked past, but didn't go into the Winter Palace. And it's very impressive. I would have liked, to be honest, to go in, but the friends with me weren't so interested. And well, it's a big commitment, of course, to go in and to
Did you go to the Hermitage? Did you go to the museum?
Yeah,
Hermitage.
I didn't. Isn't that the same as Winter Palace? Am I mistaken?
I think it is the same. Yeah, but
so I was outside it, just walking past.
Okay.
But I never. We didn't go in, but I think I got a feel for the city. People say that the weather is much colder and rainy, wetter in St. Petersburg. People often say that it's maybe a lot like the UK. I think it's probably much colder in the winter. To be fair,
way colder.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. But maybe as far as the amount of rainfall, it's probably quite similar. I guess. I guess.
Be, yeah.
So, but that kind of earns points for me because I kind of miss a little bit of rain, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know how
well,
you feel.
if you like cold rain.
Well, not cold rain. I'm not sure.
If you don't like cold rain,
well,
then St. Petersburg is probably not.
It's important to point out when I was there, it was summer and I didn't get cold rain. So maybe if I had experienced that, I would have thought.
I think you would have
thought differently.
Yes, you would have changed your opinion. Yeah. But before we go on, the other thing in Moscow, there's other things that were very interesting to me. One is the Tretyakovskaya Galeria, the Tretyakov Gallery, and it's Russian art.
Yeah.
And have you done that?
I didn't. No,
yeah,
no, I didn't.
It's really pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
And but the other one that I like, I like museums, and is there's a Pushkin museum of European art.
Okay.
And they have some wonderful Picassos and some wonderful Impressionists, and and the setting is rather amazing. So I've actually been there several times.
Right.
So
you would recommend that actually?
Would only,
if you're an art lover, I guess.
Yeah. That's not going to be everybody's thing, but I really enjoyed that.
Well, I went to art college for a while, and I sort of learned a little bit about Impressionists. I was quite impressed by Impressionists.
I like
it. No,
I
didn't. I didn't mean to do that.
Sam,
it's a pun. Terrible.
Well, you were already there, so
too late.
You had to do it.
But I would like to maybe see that actually. But I don't generally go for museums. I mean, it's not my first choice generally. Although I do them. Yeah. But I don't necessarily. Yeah. It's not necessarily my first choice. What was your favorite thing about Moscow?
My favorite thing? Wow. I do just enjoy walking around there. There's I think do they call it the garden ring? Garden ring, I think, is the road. I think it's a paved, it's an automobile road, but there's a walking. It starts from a place called Chistaya Prudy, and you can walk
clean ponds. Yeah.
Clean ponds, yeah, and you can walk all the way around in this very broad. It's a divided kind of roadway,
Okay.
and a big park down the middle, and you can walk all the way to the Kremlin, basically, if I'm not mistaken, or at least you maybe not to the Kremlin, but you can walk all the way to. What you definitely can do is all the way to Pushkin Square.
Okay.
Which is what I did.
Yeah.
And that was
How far was that?
It was far.
Yeah.
It felt like I don't
You were ready for a drink.
I was ready, yeah. I was ready for something to give. Yeah, right. Just something was going to happen. No, it was good. But anyway, it was one of those things where it was, but it's through historical, historic part of the city.
It's a very kind of scenic route, basically.
It's very scenic, yeah.
Right.
It's extremely
Or route. You would say route, yeah.
Actually, we say route.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
It's just some Americans say route, yeah?
Yeah, route, yeah. Some Americans do, yeah.
Okay. And what about your favorite thing in St. Petersburg?
Wow. St. Petersburg I need another visit to St. Petersburg. The Hermitage, I'd have to say the Hermitage, Hermitage, right? It's a fantastic museum.
Yeah.
It's kind of like infinite, it's very, 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 very large. And amazing.
So for me, I think Moscow, my favorite was the Kremlin, or maybe Red Square. just being there beside the Kremlin.
Yeah.
And St. Petersburg, I guess it was seeing the Winter Palace, but I also really liked the cathedral I visited. So, but again, I would like to visit St. Petersburg again because I only had the once there.
Yeah.
Anything you dislike about these trips?
Not really.
You had bad weather, maybe?
No, I
Nothing
mean,
like that?
I was there enough times in all different kinds of weather and all different kinds of reasons, and I wouldn't say that I mean, some things I dislike were because of my own, pardon the phrase, stupidity. You know, like I think the reason that I didn't have a great day in St. Petersburg was that I tried to buy a cheap train ticket.
Right. Yeah.
And I ended up in an upper berth, and the window was open, and so I kind of half got sick.
Sounds.
And you know, but
would give you a bad
I did
day.
save some money. You know, the good news was,
But then maybe you spent it on cough drops,
hospital, hospital
strepsils
stays.
or some.
Yeah, right.
Do you have strepsils do you know strepsils?
Strepsils?
Oh,
Is
it's
that
like a cough lozenge. You take it for sore throat. You know, it's basically a little sweet, but I think you get them in. Actually, you can get them in chemists here.
Okay.
The drugstore chemist here.
Yes.
But they're from the UK. The strepsils. They're lemon flavor or different flavors.
Okay.
And they're quite. I don't think they're medicated. Well, maybe slightly medicated, but
Very slightly.
But they're more like a
Sugar.
But they're quite effective, I think, actually, for just sore throat or something. And anyway, how did we get to that?
I don't know how we did
So,
that.
what is your overall impression of the underground train system? So, both cities have one. What do you think?
Well, of course, the Moscow one is a world treasure. You know, basically,
It's huge.
It's
got,
huge. It's fantastic. It's a museum underground, basically.
Actually, that impressed me a lot in my first trip. Maybe even more than the Kremlin. Actually, in my first trip, seeing the architecture underground.
Yes, it's amazing. I loved it. And St. Petersburg is more.
Well, it's smaller, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much smaller.
It's hard to compare it because it is much smaller.
It's deeper though. It's got good depth.
Yeah.
Right, so you get a longer elevator. If your thing is elevator,
oh yeah,
right. I love a long elevator.
Gets me going. Gets me pumped.
Nothing like it.
So we've come to the end of the questions. Which is best in your view, and why? You must say why. Right. So between Moscow and St. Petersburg, which is better for you?
Well, I would have to say, that Moscow is better for me only because I'm so much more familiar with it.
Okay.
I think if I had more opportunity to visit St. Petersburg and spent more time there, and that I would also have stronger feelings for Peter, as we say. As I don't say, but anyway, for St. Petersburg. How about you? What do you?
Well, back in 2011, and even more recently, I probably would have said Moscow, but I was very impressed with the underground system there and the architecture, and it's got a much bigger system, and I think you can go much further in many places with it. And also because for me at that time, I would have said, well, this is the real Russia, whereas St. Petersburg, of course, is not, the real Russia for some people. If you're, it doesn't have that iconic architecture as well.
Well, yeah.
Of course, you can argue against that, but St. Petersburg was made to be kind of a more different architecture, more European. And so in my mind, it was not Russia, but now, actually, I would favor St. Petersburg. So we're not getting an overall decision here, but
well, we don't.
You say Moscow, I say St. Petersburg, but but I think I would favor St. Petersburg just because it's got maybe a little bit smaller, different weather, a little bit different, but architecture, and because of the difference. I think I would favor it because of the different architecture, because it's got maybe more character because of that difference in architecture, because it's less like the rest of Russia. Maybe I would favor it more because of that.
All right.
Yeah, but maybe I would change my mind if I go in the winter. I don't know.
I think, yeah,
You think so?
one late November visit and you'd
Cold
be
wind.
cured of
Icicles dripping
that's right.
from my nose.
Nose snapping off your
Well,
face.
there you go. So sorry if you were waiting for a definitive answer. We've disappointed you again.
Again. Right, yes. In another way.
That's what we do.
That's right, yes.
No.
But we're very consistent.
But you've learned that American people prefer Moscow?
Right, yes. All American people.
All American people. Indefinitely. Without
question.
Without question.
And exception.
Definitely without question.
Without exception.
And British people or people from
Every
Northern
single
Ireland,
one of them, yes.
at least if Northern Irish people, let's say, prefer St. Petersburg. That's the answer.
Okay. That's the conclusion we've come to.
So that was the crack about Moscow versus Petersburg. So we've looked at our experiences with them as tourists. We've looked at some of the places you can visit, some of the places we visited, and the things we did there. Our overall impressions or impression of the metro system, what we liked, and we didn't really talk about what we didn't like because I don't think as tourists we had that problem.
Right, we liked it
as tourists. So, and ultimately we found out that, well, one is liked and the other is liked too. So they're both got their own value and worth. So that was the crack about Moscow versus St. Petersburg.